Welcome, my dear friends and students. Today's video is about the second part of the first chapter, that is the rotational motion. Now, in rotational motion, first of all, we have to consider the various definitions, which are the basic definition. Now, first definition you have to consider as a rigid body. What do you mean by rigid body? That is the body in which distance between any two particles doesn't change, means remain constant. When we apply the force on that body is called as the rigid body. All of you know that generally solid bodies regain their shape when we apply the force. Then solid body considered as a rigid body. So simply you have to keep in mind what is rigid body. That is the body in which distance between any two particles remain constant, doesn't change though we apply the force on it. That body is called as a rigid body. An example of rigid body, that is the solid body. Then second definition you have to keep in mind, that is what do you mean by rotational motion, which is the title of our subpart. Now, what do you mean by rotational motion? That is the motion of a rigid body in which all particles of body move along the circles of different radii. That motion of body is called as the rotational motion. A very familiar example, that is the motion of blades of fan. So here if we consider, this is the axis of rotation and these are the blades of fan on which if we consider the different particles. Now these particles start their motion along the circle of different radii. That's why right here the motion of a rigid body in which all particles of body move along the circles of different radii, called as a rotational motion. Example is motion of blades of fan, motion of hands in a clock, motion of spinning top. These are all the examples of the rotational motion. Now the third definition you have to consider as, what do you mean by axis of rotation? Now axis is a straight line, which is a imaginary straight line passing through the body, around which different particles of the body revolve in a different circle. Consider the same example here. When we consider the first particle which is close to this straight line passing through that body. So this particle start the circular motion having the smaller radii. This is the particle which start the motion having the greater radii. So that's why right here it is an imaginary line passing through the body, about which different particles of the body revolve in a different circle. That imaginary straight line is called axis of rotation. Then consider the center of mass. So center of mass is nothing but the point. If you consider any shaped body, if I consider this is the point where whole mass of the body is supposed to be concentrated. For what reason? In order to describe the motion of the body under the action of external force. That point is called as the center of mass. After considering some basic definition, now we have to consider a very important topic from this subtopic, that is the moment of inertia. Now what do you mean by moment of inertia? So in case of the linear motion or translational motion, we consider simply the inertia. So inertia is nothing but the tendency of any body to maintain its state of rest or state of uniform motion. That is called as the inertia. But in case of rotational motion, we have to consider the term as moment of inertia. Now what do you mean by moment of inertia? So moment of inertia of any body about a given axis of rotation is defined as the sum of product of mass of each particle and square of distance of particle from the axis of rotation. Let us repeat here. The definition of moment of inertia of any body about the given axis of rotation is nothing but the sum of product of mass of the each particle and its distance from the square of distance from the axis of rotation. Now in order to explain this concept, let us consider any shaped body. So this is the any shaped body which is rotating about an axis passing through the point O. Axis of rotation is simply an imaginary line passing through that body around which all particles of the body rotate. Let us consider this body consists of n number of particles. So for our convenience, I just draw m1, that is the mass of first particle, m2 mass of second particle, m3 mass of third particle, and this one considered as n particle. So that's why mass of n particle as a mn. Now consider the distance of each particle from the axis of rotation. So let R1 be the distance of first particle, R2 be the distance of second particle, R3 be the distance of third particle, and R4, Rn, that is the distance of n particle from the axis of rotation. Then the moment of inertia of this body can be written as I equal to m1 r1 square plus m2 r2 square up to dash dash mn rn square, where m1 r1 square is the moment of inertia of first particle, m2 r2 square, that is the moment of inertia of second particle, up to dash dash mn rn square. So that's why we can write here I equal to summation starting from I equal to 1 to n. This is the moment of inertia equal to summation of starting from I equal to 1 to n, that is mi ri square. So this is the representation of moment of inertia of a any-shaped body, that is the rigid body, about the given axis. Now here from this formula we can find the unit of moment of inertia. So mass measured in kilogram, distance measured in meter, but here we have to consider the square of distance. That's why its SI unit become kg into meter square, CGS unit become gram into centimeter square. Dimensions that is L, M, T, 2 in mass, 1 in length and 0 in height.
1.
Now we have to consider the factors on which moment of inertia of a body depend. So moment of inertia of a body depend upon the mass of body, whether the mass is smaller or whether the mass is greater. Second one, mass distribution about the axis of rotation. It means the particles of the body whether present close to the axis of rotation or away from the axis of rotation. That is called as the mass distribution. Third one, position of axis of rotation. It means that straight line passing through the body is passing through either center or either through the one end. So depending upon the position of that axis, we have the different moment of inertia for the same object also, and it also depend upon the shape and size of the body. You have to keep in mind there are how many factors? 4 factors on which moment of inertia of a body depend. The first one, mass of the body. Second one, mass distribution about the axis of rotation. Third one, position of axis of rotation. And fourth one, shape and size of the body. Now I have to consider important point from the same topic, that is the analogous of mass and moment of inertia. That is the physical significance of moment of inertia. Why there is a need to find the moment of inertia of any body. From that moment of inertia, which is the information that is obtained to us. So in order to describe that portion, let us consider in linear motion, we know that force is the product of mass and acceleration. For linear motion, we need the single force. So that's why we write here F equal to m into A. But in case of rotational motion, when you want to set any body into rotational motion, a pair of force that is required to set that body into motion, and that two forces of equal magnitude and opposite in direction separated by perpendicular distance, that is nothing but the torque. So here you have to consider this relation, torque equal to I alpha, where I is the moment of inertia and alpha is the angular acceleration. In rotational motion, you have to use this formula, torque equal to I alpha. In linear motion, we have to take the formula F equal to m into A. Now if we compare these two formula, on left side we have a single force. This is also the pair of force, that is the torque, it means force. On the right side we have linear acceleration and angular acceleration. Now we have to consider which is the relation between moment of inertia and mass of the body. That can be explained by considering this second and third point. Now consider the linear motion. So in linear motion, when we consider the two bodies of different mass, one body having smaller mass and other body having the greater mass. Now from the mass, we have the idea whether that body opposes in a less extent or in a greater extent. For what reason? Just to change the state. If that body is initially present at rest, then it is set into motion, and if that body is in motion, then we have to stop and regain the rest position for that body. So here, greater the mass of body, greater is the opposition to change the state, and that's why greater is the force required to change the state. It means we have to consider here first the mass of body, whether the mass is smaller or greater. Smaller the mass of body, smaller is the opposition. Greater is the mass of body, greater is the opposition. If body possesses the greater mass, more mass, then greater opposition. If body possesses the smaller mass, then smaller opposition. For what reason? To change the state. Now in order to change the state, we have to consider the force, whether we need the small force or large force. So from this point, we can conclude that smaller the mass of body, smaller is the force required to change the state. Greater is the mass of body, greater is the force required to change the state of that body. It means mass gives us the information about the opposition, about the force required to change the state. Now consider the third point, that is in rotational motion. We have to consider, instead of mass, we have to consider the moment of inertia. So greater the moment of inertia, greater is the opposition to change the state. If you want to change the state, then the quantity required is torque. So greater the torque is required for what reason? To produce the angular acceleration. On the other hand, smaller is the moment of inertia, smaller is the opposition, and less torque is required to produce the angular acceleration. It means in rotational motion, we have the idea of opposition as well as the requirement of torque from which quantity? From the moment of inertia. It means that whatever the information given by the mass in linear motion, the same information is given by the moment of inertia in rotational motion. That's why we can say that moment of inertia play the same role in rotational motion as that of the role played by the mass in linear motion. Now consider the next point, that is the radius of gyration. Now radius of gyration of any body about the given axis, that is defined as simply the distance between center of mass and the axis of rotation. This is the simple definition of radius of gyration. Radius of gyration is nothing but the distance between axis of rotation and the point where whole mass of the body is supposed to be concentrated in order to describe that motion of that body. So simply keep in mind, radius of gyration is the distance between center of mass and axis of rotation. Now if we consider m is the mass of body, then moment of inertia of that body in terms of radius of gyration is given by I equal to m into k square. So that's why I write here k equal to under root of I by m. This is the required formula to find the radius of gyration, where I is the moment of inertia of a body about the given axis and m is the mass of that body. So you can easily write the unit and dimension of radius of gyration. Now what is the unit? As it is a distance, therefore its unit is meter. CGS unit is centimeter. Dimensions 1 in mass, 0 in length and 0 in time. You can also consider the factors.